I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. As always, muchas gracias to everyone for everyone's words, wishes, prayers, as the love and support everyone shares with me. Desde el Cora, gracias. Also, do please like, share, subscribe, and hype to the video to help the message get out. Gracias. Well, everyone, I know I take a while to answer requests on what to touch on, and no excuses needed. Just I juggle a lot of things and I tend to lose sight of time, right? But do know I never forget. I will get to them. On this one, I'm going to answer someone that asked me to speak on my personal experience on the conflict of California EME and the Texas EME, or the maxikanemi, as they call themselves, right? And first and foremost, I'll take you back to 2016 when I got to the USP, Pennsylvania, as I talked many times about, right? Where Sana, Joe, Chino, well, all of them were at, right? And at the moment I got there, there was none of them there. There was Texas, people representing Texas. Like I said, we had a real cool working relationship with Tango, right? And the only ones we stay clear from, literally from one side of the yard to the next, right, was from the Aztecas. Pretty much, we went about our program, right? Well, as it happens in every prison, from not having no one there, all of a sudden you just start arriving, right? Maybe because something happens on a different yard, or you never know, right? But before they arrive, the one that actually put me up on game on this, and I verified it with Sana, was Crook, right, from Alley Boys, Joel's right hand man there, and that was that we were at war with the Emmett from Texas. We weren't to recognize him as anything else but a different faction, right? And that is stemmed from, in Utah, to be exact, they were real cool with camaradas, I guess. And to the point that the last admin that was there before he split and left the program to a camarada, right? Left the rules and regulations that, excuse me, that we were to address them as carnales, señores, which, we can't really dispute that, right? Nevertheless, we're real good at following what we need to follow when it comes to our own, right? But once they start telling the Rafla to direct someone as they meet something in our structure or done anything for our structure, then a lot of people start speaking, right? You know how it goes. It's kind of silencio plays into that fear effect that a lot of us don't like really recognize on, right? Nevertheless, I guess up there in Utah, the Bata took advantage of that up into the point that homies were put in the back burner, and the Aztecas that were there, they were basically during their BS with the homies. Because again, we could talk about different factions in the feds. Our biggest rivals in the feds are Aztecas. Point blank. Sit. It's kind of when you could say that misunderstanding was still in order to be fixed with Phoenix, right? With Arizona, excuse me. And, well, with the carnal from Phoenix, right? Most of all, but it was still being fixed. The state in Arizona was still dangerous for us, to say the least, right? But anyways, getting back to USB Pennsylvania, when I'm there, decisions have been made. There was I always mention a few Pilis, but there was actually quite a few more there, right? And they had decided that ya estuvo. They made the peace treaty with Arizona, and they were to be looked as trusted camaradas. You see, the difference from what happened in Atlanta to this was if there was no other EME member there, we could fall together with Arizona because they were trusted camaradas, right? The members. And of course, Texas was out. And if they got there and flexed up, they were going to have a backbone, which were Aztecas, right? Which was okay, if it meant war, then it was war, right? To be honest, in this USP, there was way too many homies and Pilis. You know, we weren't the majority, but Hispanos at least, we were. And that to the lock, this individual, Gozo, Gozo, or something to that effect, right? From Texas. He's a senor from Texas, got there. And he played it off cool. He was doing his thing in his corner with Aztecas. He foreseen that Tango, not gonna say we dogged it on the yard, but we were mixed, right? They were welcome where we were at. And certain things surfaced. For example, they wanted material point blank out in Texas because something had went south with them, and the one that said Chales was Joe, right? Tom Chales, disculpen, we ain't got nothing for you, vatos. You guys have your wiggle, your side, your move. And he straight up said it that day, You were trusted over here, and you vatos abused it. You abused our gente, and it's fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me for being a fool, right? And basically painted the line right in the sand. So, like I said, within time, a couple more individuals from maxikanemi. I have problems saying that, so I'll just say Emmett right from Texas. Got there, and I guess one of the individuals that got there from Texas had to do with that squabble up they had in Florence. You know, I'll be honest with you, I was in state when it happened, but they went out and USP Florence and 2-2, they went at it with Fierros. Not once, but twice, back to back. So, me being in the state, it was like, okay, if I hit the feds, then it's on and cracking, right? I was wet behind my ears, you could say at this time. So I used to put everybody in Texas as a whole, right? Which I learned it's nothing like that, right? Nevertheless, within time, conflicts start uprising. For example, they wanted certain angles on the yard. We were messing with most of the woods, including AB from Texas, right? And they tried to tell the senores that the AB from Texas belonged to them. And the senor said, Chales, ain't nothing belongs to you. So after that discussion, we knew it was going to go up. We just didn't know how it was going to go up. Now, keep in mind, at one point, we were close. You could say we weren't the same thing, but we were cool, right? The only things that we used to concentrate at the time, per se, or the homies or senores, excuse me, and the feds was the sindicatos de Texas and us. Of course, the Aztecas, we didn't trust them, and the conflict with Arizona, which I don't need to put Arizona's business out there, For that, you could go to Cricket Channel. He has better input on it. But there is EME members in Arizona that actually fixed things and became members of both sides, right? And it's how that conflict ended. Syndicate, the Fed separated them, point blank, from us, from Tango, from them. So when we were on the yard, they weren't even really a factor, right? One might skate through, and it was basically a voladito, right? Everybody threw it up in there and see who was going to get the pleasure of removing him off the yard. But not to say or speak less of them, because they have their pens, right? They're D2. And that was our major problem. As you guys know, Syndicate goes back to Cali, and they've been the ones holding it down since Cali against us, or should I say, yeah, man, right? But once that stopped being a factor, then it's a common thing amongst Raza, right? Someone asked me the other day, why does Raza always feel the need to go after Raza? Man, I wish I had an answer. But if we sit down and analyze from the days of our ancestors, it was always one group and a whole bunch of small ones going after them, or everybody at war with everybody. I believe it's in our bloodline, right? And it's different once you add prison, territory, dope, money, power. But anyways, to make this story not too long, right? What ended up happening, I said it before, they disrespected a tango blast, but he was walking the track with a homie. And as they rushed the tango blast, the homie, they also whacked the camarada. So when they whacked the camarada, there was no more butts or ifs, right? And Tango said the same thing. Hey, let's suit up, boot up, and let's boogie on these fools. So, we left it as they wanted us to believe, which was over dope. When you're in your yard, you know who's using, who's not, right? So we just happened to give it a day, make sure you went in, came back out with something to do damage, if you get me. And we rushed all of them. All the carnales from la EME that were there, and especially the Aztecas, right? Not gonna say they were palomitas sentadas and just let us rush them. No, they held their ground. After all, they are who they are, right? But man, I shouldn't say. But anyways, in this riot is, I don't know if you guys have heard, but it's when that fool Goso, Goso, man, I'm so sorry. He has a name like that though, Goso, I believe, Goso or something to that effect, right? That did that in Florence. He got literally almost his head chopped off. Would you say it was a Pili and a Camarada together? Who they were, the incidents there, if you look it up. But again, it's not my place to put their names out there like that, right? But to sum it up, you that asked me what the main conflict was, the main conflict started in ADX Florence, I believe 96, 97. It escalated all the way to 98. There was a peace treaty. There was a lot of trust there from our end. When they had the opportunity to treat our gente right, and I'm talking about sureños, campoleros, right? Because there was no other pili. They used and abused their gente. And at all times holding that card, hey, if the señor gets here, I'll make sure he puts you on the list. And as much as I don't want to admit it, no camarada is going to admit it, that fear effect is up. You guys know what? But it reached out to Sana, Big Joe, big players up in Pennsylvania, and is when all this played out. And that was the end of that. After that, you guys know I went to Florence, Arizona. I had a I had a mapil with me to give to two pilis from MS as other pilis. There was 10 individuals from the Texas EME, and every single one of them got whacked. Not gonna say by us only, because Arizona played a big factor. That's actually one of the events that literally brought us, you could say, to a bigger unity with Arizona. That's why now we walk with Arizona. We ride with Arizona. When we speak about Texas, Tango Blast, we ride with them in whatever comes our way, right? As other factions. I don't mean to minimize other factions in Texas, but man, you guys in Texas, you guys are wild. There's a lot of different angles. The only problem with Texas is EME, Aztecas, EME, Aztecas, and that's pretty much it. You know, at least with us. But those that go against Tango Blast, you know, 8 out of 10 times, best believe we're gonna hoop bang with them. Not because it's personal problems, if there's alliance there that's making a lot of moves. If you guys can read between the lines. But anyways, everyone, I hope I was able to answer your question correctly. I can't get in stuff I wasn't personally involved in. I apologize, but I can only speak about my walk. So of course, any repercussion will always fall on me and only me. But with this said, I apologize. I'm not myself. As you guys been seeing on the lives, it's been difficult. But I love every single one of you. I need to start picking it up again. You know, if you really want to sum it up to what it is, there is a lot more things going into Texas than there is going into California. So, like I said, we're always fighting over that queso and that candy. That's what the movement has become. But as I always leave, stay true to yourself, loyal to your loved ones.